Well, good afternoon. I appreciate you all being here. I want to share with you a little bit of history of some terrorist attacks against the United States. You know, I bet most of us, if not every one of us here, could give a very vivid description of exactly where we were, what we were doing, and how we were feeling on the morning of September 11, 2001. That's obviously a day that we'll all remember very well, and it'll be a point of history with the United States that'll last well beyond our years. I was in my office, and I was all by myself, no one else was around, and I was talking to an older gentleman about an HVAC unit, and he was sharing with me that he just saw a plane crash in one of the World Trade Center towers. He thought it was just an accident. We were still continuing the conversation. As it grew, he said, "Son, you need to get to a TV because something is desperately wrong." So we hung up. I ran downstairs to the office below. They had a TV on, and we obviously watched in horror of what was going on. And I'm sure many of you have more interesting stories to tell than what I have. But over the next coming days in the news, the country was at a standstill. We were all watching what was going on and what exactly had happened. But many in the security industry for years had seen terrorist attacks and knew exactly what was going on. And I want to share with you a brief history of what some of those terrorist attacks are. Perhaps you can follow along and think, hey, I remember this one, or I remember that one. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Let's see. Before we do, though, we need to define what terrorism is. Title 22 of the U.S. Code, written by the Department of State, titles terrorism as a premeditated, politically motivated violence perpetuated against non-combatant targets by subnational groups or clandestine agents. So let's go through them. In 1983, the bombing of the U.S. Embassy in Beirut, 63 people were killed and 120 were injured in a 400-pound suicide truck bomb. The Islamic Jihad claimed responsibility. Another, in 1983, later that year, U.S. Marine Corps barracks in Beirut also, a 12,000-pound truck bomb was used to kill 242 Americans. Another Islamic Jihad claimed responsibility. 1986, a disco in Berlin. 2 U.S. soldiers were killed and 79 American servicemen were injured. In 1988, Pan Am 103 in Lockerbie was traveling to New York and was bombed. It blew up over Lockerbie, Scotland, killing all 259 people on board, including many U.S. citizens. The first attack on the World Trade Centers in 1993. Islamic terrorists exploded a car bomb in an underground garage. The bomb left 6 people dead and 1,000 injured. In 1996, Khobar Towers in Saudi Arabia killed many military personnel and 515 persons wounded, including 240 U.S. Several groups claim responsibility for the attack. In 1998, the U.S. Embassy in Nairobi, the bomb exploded, killing 12 U.S. citizens, 32 foreign national, and 247 Kenyan citizens. Then in 2000, the attack on the USS Cole. A small dinghy carrying explosives rammed the destroyer USS Cole, killing 17 sailors and injuring 39 others. Supporters of Osama bin Laden were suspected. And of course, in 2001 on U.S. soil, World Trade Center, Pentagon, and Flight 93, 3,025 U.S. citizens and other nationals killed. This came from a list from the Public Affairs Office on the Department of State's website. They have a chronological list of all the terrorist attacks against the United States and others as well, but it's a very detailed list. I chose these here because they're a little bit more notable as far as the news goes. I don't know if you're able to remember any of these just other than by name, but I don't know if you can remember where you were, what you were doing like you could with 9/11. For me, I couldn't remember where I was exactly on each one of these other terrorist attacks. Only 9/11 is the one that I could really tell you where I was and what I was doing. But 9/11 will be etched in our memories for the rest of our lives because we lived through it. There'll be some children that come beyond us that they didn't live through it, but hopefully it will be memorialized through our history, and they'll remember what happened too. Terrorist attacks are continuing to happen today. In conclusion, as we've seen, there are many terrorist attacks that were prior to 9/11, not just 9/11. And although we've not covered all the attacks post 9/11, the Department of State lists many more. Terrorist attacks are real, and we need to realize they're real. Brian Jenkins, a leading expert, he says this in his theories of terrorism, that terrorist activity will evolve, not decline. They'll never go away. They're real, and they're here to stay. We've always got to figure out ways to lessen the risks. I hope by detailing this brief history of terrorist attacks against the United States, you'll be able to remember that these type of attacks are real, and they're a threat to us. Thank you.